Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to be pulling back the curtain on the real, hidden engine behind true online success. Now, if you've spent, any time at all looking into digital marketing or making money online, you've definitely heard a million different tactics. But today, we're unpacking the story of Justin Springer. This is a guy who went from working crazy 60 to 70-hour weeks managing a gym to running a massive, multiple, six-figure digital community. And the crazy part? He did it by realizing that the software, the funnels, all that stuff is literally just a tiny fraction of the whole equation. So we're going to look really closely at his exact framework, breaking down not just the tools he used, but that internal engine that actually made those tools work.
To kick us off, we really need to look at this concept Justin picked up from Tony Robbins, because it absolutely changed the game for him. You know how the internet is, right? It's always throwing promises at you. It tells you, hey, just buy this one software or download this one magic course and boom, you're an overnight millionaire. But what Justin figured out is that someone could hand you the absolute perfect, proven blueprint. But if your internal narrative is broken, if you're constantly telling yourself a story of doubt and failure, there's just no way you're going to take the action needed to follow that strategy. It all comes down to this. Your internal narrative completely dictates your external results.
Let's move to how this builds, because I want to be clear, this was definitely not an overnight success story. Back in 2013, Justin, who had a felony on his record and was really struggling to climb the normal corporate ladder, was managing a gym. We're talking grueling 60 to 70-hour weeks. Then 2020 hits, right? The pandemic. He's stuck in California, beaches are closed, he's dealing with depression, and he's completely failing at dropshipping. But he didn't throw in the towel. By 2022 and 2023, he pivoted. He found a platform called System.io, went totally all in on TikTok, and really started doing the deep work on himself. And that brings us to today, where he's running a thriving, multiple six-figure digital community.
To really grasp how he made that massive leap, we've got to look at the core framework of today's Explainer, which is the iceberg model. Justin loves to point out that success is, frankly, about 10% mechanics and 90% mindset. Think about it. The visible part of the business, the funnels, the emails, the social media platforms, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's tiny. The massive hidden engine beneath the surface that actually keeps the whole thing afloat, that's your mindset. The problem is, most people spend all their time obsessing over that 10% and totally ignore the 90%. Well, we're going to look at both today, and we'll start with that visible tip of the iceberg.
Act 1. The 10% mechanics.
So because Justin was still working up to 70-hour weeks at the gym when he first started getting traction, he absolutely did not have time to be on Zoom calls all day explaining things to customers. He needed total automation, period. He built this incredibly simple automated machine using System.io so he could actually reclaim his time. Step 1, a simple capture page to grab the customer's email. Step 2 was a video sales letter, or VSL, which is where the actual selling happened. And finally, step 3 was a thank you page that automatically delivered the next steps and the training. By setting up the super straightforward 3-step funnel, Justin could literally make $600 sales while he was physically standing there at his day job. The customer instantly got their product and training, and Justin didn't have to lift a single finger.
16. That's the exact number of automated emails Justin loaded into his initial follow-up sequence. And his philosophy here is just brilliant because it's so simple. He believes in sending exactly one email a day to create these consistent, reliable touchpoints. I mean, think about it. If a regular brick-and-mortar store needs to interact with a customer 7 to 10 times before they make a sale, why wouldn't a digital marketer do the exact same thing? He didn't overcomplicate it. He just used those emails to update his audience, share some quick wins, and make sure his business stayed on their radar every single day.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is, one platform. Honestly, so many aspiring entrepreneurs just burn themselves out trying to be the next Gary Vee, right? They're trying to post on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and a blog all at the exact same time. Justin hit his multiple six-figure success by initially mastering just one single traffic platform, and for him, that was TikTok. He completely tuned out the noise telling him he needed to be everywhere. He knew he was a one-man show, and focus was his absolute greatest asset.
And he definitely didn't leave his TikTok strategy up to chance. He executed this highly actionable, very specific daily routine. He posted exactly 2 times a day. He went live at night so he could talk directly face-to-face with his audience. He spent these dedicated 10-minute blocks just engaging with his target audience down in the comments. And once the feature rolled out, he used daily stories to create even more touchpoints. But here is the real secret sauce. He wasn't just hard selling all the time. His content leaned heavily into sharing his authentic, personal story, talking about what he genuinely liked about the product, and showing real testimonials.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive divide between what we can easily see and what actually moves the needle. On one side, you have the mechanics. That's your funnels, your daily emails, your TikTok routine, system AI. Honestly, that's the easy part. On the other side is the mindset. Overcoming those deep fears, pushing through the doubts, silencing your own insecurities, and figuring out how to deal with the inevitable criticism from other people, which, let's be real, often comes from your own family. Justin figured out that literally anyone can copy a funnel. But those psychological barriers, that's what actually stops people dead in their tracks.
Which brings us right into Act 2, the 90% mindset.
See, Justin realized that most of his students didn't actually have a business problem. What they really had was a personal problem that was just reflecting in their business. The funnel wasn't broken, the person running the funnel was stuck. So he delivers this harsh but totally necessary truth. He says, ask yourself right now, how are you going to be a $10,000 a month digital marketer while you're still acting like a $4,000 a month employee? Actually making 10 to 15 grand a month online isn't the hardest part. The hardest part is staying disciplined, managing your focus, and fundamentally shifting your entire identity. There's a massive gap between the income you want and the identity you're currently operating from, and you literally cannot cross that gap without changing your internal story.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the actual science behind why our negative stories are so damaging. There's a concept called a scotoma. It's basically a psychological blind spot. It happens when your eyes can physically see the answer or the opportunity right in front of you, but your brain flat out refuses to perceive it. Why? Because of the negative story you keep repeating to yourself on a loop. You are literally blinding yourself to success because your own internal dialogue won't even allow you to see it.
To make this super concrete, Justin shares this famous anecdote from Tony Robbins. So when Tony was a kid, his dad asked him to get the salt from the kitchen. Tony walks in, opens the cabinet, and immediately says, "I don't know where the salt is." His dad calls back, "It's on the second shelf." Tony looks right at the second shelf and repeats, "I don't know where the salt is." Finally, his dad walks over, reaches right in front of Tony's face and grabs the salt. It was right there the entire time. But because Tony kept telling himself the story that he couldn't find it, his brain actually created a scotoma. He literally couldn't perceive the salt. And guys, that is exactly what aspiring entrepreneurs are doing with their businesses every single day.
Act 3. Rewiring your brain.
To fix this, Justin actually built an actionable 21-day bootcamp to help his students rewrite those internal stories so they can finally execute their business strategies. First up, they work through a workbook to explicitly define what he calls their 2.0 self. Then, they institute these super strict morning, midday, and night routines. But here's the most crucial step: relentlessly tracking daily wins. Justin teaches that our brains, specifically the reticular activating system, are just naturally wired to look for the negative. You have to actively reset it by celebrating tiny little victories. I mean, even if it's just waking up on time or having a really great cup of coffee. He compares it to teaching someone how to swim. You don't just shove them into the deep end, right? You teach them to tread water, you habit stack one skill at a time, and you train the mind to actively seek out the positive. To put this into practice right away, Justin uses a really highly effective alarm strategy. He literally has his students set an alarm on their phone for every single hour of the day. When that alarm goes off, it acts as a mental trigger to snap you out of autopilot. In that exact moment, you have to audit your current state. You ask yourself, where's my focus right now? What's my energy like? What story am I currently telling myself? It forces you to catch your own negative self-talk red-handed so you can stop the self-sabotage immediately before it derails your whole day. And when you combine that automated 10% mechanic stuff with this relentless 90% mindset shift, you get what Justin calls the ripple effect. The results go way, way beyond just making a few extra sales online. Inside his community, the impact has been absolutely profound. He's got students who have completely transformed their lives. We're talking people starting massive six-figure AI agencies. They're launching their own thriving communities. Some are even writing and publishing their own books. When you fix the person, the business thrives. And then that success just ripples out to impact absolutely everyone around them. We're going to end today's explainer with a pretty stark piece of advice that Justin shared from Gary Vee. Apparently, someone once asked Gary for a quick hit of motivation, and Gary just looked at them and replied, "You're gonna die." Now, I know that sounds super morbid at first, but honestly, it is the ultimate wake-up call. You only get one shot at this life. There is absolutely zero reason to sit on the sidelines waiting for some perfect moment or letting your own negative self-talk hold you back. The mechanics, they're out there,
Tools like System.io are just waiting to be used. So the only real question left for you to answer is this: what is the story you are telling yourself today? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this sparks you to finally dive in, rewrite that story, and take action.